What's up again, everybody? Well, all of these big tournaments, these road to nationals, and now calling Singapore have all wrapped up. We have new tournaments that are coming down the pipeline, but I think, in my opinion, and tell me if I'm wrong in the comments below, I am solely now focused on Dusk Till Dawn. We are like a month from, well, no, we're less than a month from spoiler seasons. Oh my god, we are like closing in on spoiler season, and I just want to know what this set is all about. I want to know what's in this set. We've gotten little teasers here and there. We've gotten some cards spoiled, and I'm really pumped to figure out how these new heroes, including Vynnset over here, are going to play. So in today's video, I'm going to give you 10 different cards that exist already that I think are going to be fantastic in Vynnset. Based on what we know, this is a little bit of speculation. This is a little bit of just kind of like thought processes down the way and strategy with what we see here. These are 10 cards that I think you should pick up, that you should get ready, dust off out of your collection, because I think they're going to get some new life breathed into them. First of all, let's talk about Vynnset. Vynnset is a new Shadow Runeblade hero. This is the young version. We haven't seen the adult version yet. This one has 4 intellect, 20 health, and it says at the start of your turn, banish a card from your hand. And if you do that, then you get to create a rune chant token. Every single time you trigger that effect, you create a rune chant token. This is not a may, this is a must. Whenever you play a shadow non-attack action card as well, you can pay a life. Now in this case, you can choose to pay a life or not, but if you do choose to pay a life, the next rune chant effect that would deal damage this turn cannot be prevented, which means we can deal unpreventable damage, period, end of story. And that is really, really good, because there's some cards that do some really great things when we have guaranteed arcane damage. So let's start talking about 10 cards that you should consider for Vynnset based on the wording here, and perhaps just how good it could be. And I think it's really good to start with the shoe-ins. Let's start with a couple of cards that are just straight up good. Like Shadow Puppetry is a 0-cost shadow action that you don't really want to banish, but you do want to play, because if you do play this, then you trigger the second effect, and you can force through a rune chant point that just can't be dealt with. But it also just gives go again. With Chain, you could give go again almost on demand by making a soul shackle. So this card was just a really solid like second option to just go super wide. With Vynnset, this could be a linchpin style card because it gives go again, it gives +1, and it gives you an on hit. And this is going to be one of those cards that does really well, just simply because it allows you to kind of go wider on a hero that doesn't necessarily, from what we know right now, have the capability to do so. Speaking of, Shadow Averser is the exact same reason. Simply because it's a 0-cost 2 attack that if you banish, you can, or sorry, I should say, if you play it, when you play it as an additional cost, you can banish a card with Blood Debt, and in doing so, you can give this go again. So basically, this is a way for us to poke a little bit, but also get stuff into our banish zone. And there are cards that care about being played from banish zone, which are really good, some of which we've already seen in general, and some of the rune gating mechanics, if I remember correctly, play from banish. Does rune gate play from banish only, or can you play a card for free from your hand if you have equal rune chance? I have to look that up. Let me know in a comment below, because I'm trying to do that off the top of my head, if rune gating can only be triggered from the banish zone, or if you can trigger it from your hand as well. Either way, Shadow Averser fits a lot of the same things as Shadow Puppetry in that respect, and they're both going to be fantastic cards. They already are. And rounding out the, well, not rounding out, I should say, there's one after this that I think is a shoe-in, duh kind of card. Hell from Beyond is another one of those. Being able to just drop this into the banish zone and have no downside. In fact, this card gains upside with Vynnset, because if you drop this in at the start of your turn into the banish zone, and then you go ahead and play it, this represents +3 damage, and it represents a rune chant that you've created off of this. And so this card just gets better, and you could honestly just consider playing like the yellows and the blues if you build a deck that can pitch around that. So like, this is just a really solid card. As it generates you a rune chant, it can play from banished. It allows you to really go tall, which I think is one of the strategies that she has available to her, is possibly just going really tall. And yeah, this is a really, really good one. And then, of course, duh, my spoiler card from Monarch. This is the literal nuts. I mean, no, I don't know about that. Okay, so here's the thing about this card. It's just the best blocking equipment in the game. So why do you not run this card? Like, literally go pick up a copy of exactly this card, run out to the store, run out to the local game store, be like, do you have a Carrion Husk? Do you have a Carrion Husk? I need one right now. Because this card is always good. It has always been good. It is one of the main reasons that you run shadow characters or shadow heroes, because they're just able to play Carrion Husk. This card's amazing, and yes, we have to pay for the life loss each turn as it's as it's kind of doing its blood debt thing, but we don't care about that because it stops us CNC. This is the best card ever. All right, now we come to this is the 5th card, and this is the almost the halfway point of cards that go from like, well, duh, this card's insane, it's always going to be played in Runeblade, to a card that gains, even more utility. And then cards from this like gain even more utility or are just like the weird cards you wouldn't think about. So Rattlebones is one of those that gains more utility. It's already played in a variety of decks. You could technically play it in Briar. I don't think it's played in it hasn't been played in Briar in forever, but people were for a bit. Yeah, it's a staple in Viscerai. You kind of didn't really play it, if I remember correctly, didn't play it in Chain. It was just a Viscerai staple. And it's really good. It's really good in Vynnset. Why? Well, it allows us to go and get like a big attack from our graveyard that we've played. So that's graveyard recursion. But if you've dealt arcane damage to an opposing hero this turn, you can play Rattlebones as though it were an instant, which means we can use our action point. And again, assuming that Vynnset is an action point hungry hero, meaning that they don't just go again, go again, go again, we can consume our action point with an attack. But before we do that, we can obviously send a Rune Chant, playing a non-attack, for example, send a Rune Chant to, deal 1 unpreventable damage. And once we've done that, Rattlebones can be played as an instant after we resolve the attack. So our opponent's like, cool, I block with this. I just don't take the damage. That's not a big deal. And then you play Rattlebones off of maybe the floating resources that you have at instant speed, and it refreshes the action point because of Go Again, and it recurs an attack from the graveyard. It could be a big attack. It could just be a really solid attack that just does some stuff to your opponent, and you can just send it at your opponent, basically just not for free, but in a way that they wouldn't necessarily expect. And it's something that technically like Viscerai can already do, but I think it fits really nicely in Vynnset because it allows her to break that maybe 1 action point style of play that she might be pigeonholed into. We'll see as the set comes out. It's a good card. Also a good card, this is one you might not be thinking about, but look, this card was heavily played in Viscerai Blitz like control lists back in like the Crucible of War days. This card was really good in that list because your goal was to just have Rune Chants, build Rune Chants, make Rune Chants, and then throw them at your opponent. When you have almost a guaranteed 1 Rune Chant a turn scenario, you could run into the possibility where you're just floating that Rune Chant. Maybe you don't attack, maybe you drop, you do the banish thing and you gain a Rune Chant. You could just have a Rune Chant at the end of the turn every single turn. And if you're playing defensively, this becomes a 0 for 4 that deals an extra point of damage because it's going to create you a Rune Chant. And that is a really good blocking card. So if you're trying to play control Vynnset, which could be an archetype that we could see, this card goes way up the totem pole because we're building up Rune Chants like towards a pseudo OTK list, and this card is giving us even more Rune Chants. It's basically just like it fits just like the old OTK Viscerai used to fit. This now is back on the menu, and you don't really see it floating around that much anymore because everyone's so hyper focused on putting exactly 30 attacks and 30 non-attacks so you can hit all of your like Lucky Sonata draws and stuff. But this card really good if we're playing for the control kind of style. And then we come to the, this card's going to be insanely good. This is going to be a staple, in my opinion, for Vynnset. If she can give, consistent Rune Chant pressure, like if she can give a Rune Chant every single turn, and then it's unblockable. Then Meet and Greet is a +1. It's technically like a 1 for 5 with Go again, because obviously it's dealing an arcane point beforehand, so we're not counting that. But if you've dealt that arcane point, then this already has Go again, so it's coming for a 1 for 4, and then if it hits, it becomes a 1 for 5. So this card gets really good by just being able to say, well, I'm going to send you exactly 1 point of arcane damage that you just can't deal with. Now this card is turned on to Go again, and this is probably the other way that we really go wide on a single turn. And it's one of those cards that you want to probably try and recur with something like Rattlebones, because, you know, pitching a blue allows you to go Meet and Greet, sending a Rune Chant goes through, hopefully unblocked. Meet and Greet into Rattlebones, all for a blue, and then you go find like a 1 cost and pitch into that, or a 0 cost, something like that. Or you can swing your weapon and just deal damage that way. Okay, and then we come to my favorite card that never quite cut it. This is my favorite card that never quite cut it, but I'll tell you what, I put it into a lot of decks. Consuming Volition. If you can poke with a Rune Chant guaranteed, Consuming Volition is a chain ender 1 for 4 if it hits pummel. I love that. I love this card so much, and it never really connected into a bunch of lists, and that makes me sad because this card's cool and the art is disgusting, but also awesome, but also gross. And this card plays gross too, and guaranteed Rune Chant damage, 1 for 4 on hit pummel. Yeah, this card is going to be nuts. This is the one that when I was thinking about cards that I would want to recur with Rattlebones, I would want to go instant speed Rattlebones because he took 1 damage, go get Consuming Volition, play at a 1 for 4, and if it hits, you lose another card, all on a blue. So if you can, you know, send a point of arcane damage, like play a non-attack, attack with that, like attack with an attack, or maybe even swing your weapon, pitch a blue Rattlebones, and then come in with Consuming Volition. It's pretty good. I don't know. It just seems really cool to me. And this is one of the last ones. I think this might be the last card. And you look at this and you're like, do I even care? Yes, if you're Vynnset, you very much care, because playing Blessing of Occult as, like, let's say this is your only card, your only you know, card in hand, right? You have like this in arsenal and a card in hand. Let's put it that way. You've blocked, you have a card in hand, this in your arsenal. You play Blessing of Occult, pitching the card in your hand, and at the start of your turn, you gain 3 Rune Chants. All Rune Gate, well, I should say, the Rune Gate effect that we see on the first Rune Gate card, the Phantom Banshee, is now immediately free. That card is immediately free because this card pops off and is able to just push damage. Plus, if this, if you do like establish this on the board and you're playing like the control OTK style, which I really hope is an archetype because I like that. If you're playing that, then this just gains you the ability to stack up Rune Chants even faster. And this card, underrated perhaps, like super bit of a reach. It might be a bit of a reach, but I really like it and I want it to be a thing. No, this is the last one. Yes. Okay. Sorry. I got ahead of myself. Okay. Check this out. Okay. Look. Dread Triptych, this card is nuts in Vynnset. Am I wrong? Like, think about it. If you build a very blue heavy deck, just think about this. You start off by playing a non-attack action card. You like trigger her effect. Like, heck, you could even banish like a card, like at the very beginning, you banish, create a Rune Chant, right? Like, let's just start with that. You banish a non-attack, create a rune, or you banish anything, create a Rune Chant, right? And then you play a non-attack, and then you like attack, but maybe with Go again. But you could just straight up send this. You could straight up send Dread Triptych, and then if you do, you've played a non-attack because you started off with it. You've dealt arcane damage that was unpreventable because you played the non-attack and you lost the point of life. And then if this hits, it creates another Rune Chant token. And so this is an easy way to just go boop, 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 gain 3 Rune Chants, have the Rune Gate effect set up for next turn. This card seems really good. And even if you don't play it for the attack, you just play it for the blue block 3, like it was already kind of being messed around with, but all of a sudden, a lot better of a card in exactly this setup. And it fits Vynnset almost perfectly. And in fact, is that Vynnset in the background? No. No, that's not Vynnset. Is it? Wait a minute. She's pulling... Is that Vynnset? I don't know. Let me know in a comment below. Is Vynnset, like, has she been in this the whole time? Is that, like, just straight up her, like, as an adult? Oh my god, did we just realize that at the end of this video that no one's going to watch the end of this? Anyway, if you enjoyed this video of me talking about cards that could very well be good, let me know in a comment below if you enjoyed that. If you want to, you know, make the number go slightly higher, press a red button. It's right below me. People that press red buttons, way cooler in my book. Way cooler. Also, the coolest people are the people that subscribe to Patreon. They are so cool. I reward them with fun things and like cards that I sent to their house if they are one of those tiers. So if you enjoy this video, make a number go slightly higher, and as always, thanks for watching.